Let's begin this morning's discussion with the story of a 19-year-old murder case. It's a case that involves a woman and her 17-day-old twin daughters. And it's a story that takes us all the way back to 2006. The case has finally been cracked by the Kerala police. Essentially, there was a twist here. Artificial intelligence played the hero. Police were for years looking for those who were responsible for their killings, and all photographs of the suspects were digitally aged using advanced algorithms to predict what the culprits might look like today. These AI-generated images were cross-referenced with social media platforms, where one photo had a 90% match with a wedding photograph on Facebook. That was the lead that the Kerala police needed to find two men who had been living under false identities for years.
So what did they do about it? Now, this entire incident is chilling yet fascinating story of how technology doesn't forget even when humans might. And this isn't an isolated incident. Globally, AI is becoming a key tool for investigative agencies. Facial recognition, behavioral pattern analysis, AI is helping track suspects, solve crimes, and even predict potential criminal activity. This is not out of a soap opera. This is actually happening in real life. Did you know that according to the recent report from Deloitte that insights came out in 2024, 75% of global law enforcement agencies are already using AI to some capacity? Here's another statistic. In 2023 alone, AI tools helped solve over 2,000 cold cases, meaning they were largely cases that had been put in the backbench worldwide, according to Interpol Global Crime Report as well. That's 2,000 families finally finding closure thanks to AI. But with this power comes a bigger question. Where do we draw the line? How do we ensure that this intelligence and technology remains ethical, unbiased, and beneficial for society at large? So that is the story, and of course we've got guests for you.
Right, some really important questions, but to answer them, joining us to shed light on this, its implications, we have Sujath Kumar S. He's a cybersecurity expert with Cyber. He's with us here today. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us here on the Breakfast Club. Sir,
good morning, you all.
Good morning, sir. So if we could come to you first for an overview on this entire story. Sir, tell us, how is AI being used as we speak? So today in 2025, how is AI already being used by security agencies across the country, and to what degree?
Yes. See, most of the law enforcement agencies have implemented the modernization of their infrastructures through dial and read or CCTNS, which is called Central Crime Record Tracking System, or NCRB, or state crime record bureaus. So with this, the huge infrastructure has been spent in the last couple of years. On top of this, the AI tool has been used. So if you see the Kerala case, they used a algorithm which is called facial recognition and facial generation. So there was an historical photo which was taken. I believe the case happened in 2006, and this photo was taken, and AI algorithm was added on top of it, so that the low pixel can be generated into a higher pixel with a higher resolution. And this was again regenerated in the AI tool for generation for aging the photographs. So with this, they were able to scan in the social media and find out how accurate it was matching. I believe the match was around impressively it was around 90%, and that's how they were able to nab it. Apart from this, law enforcement agencies use different tools. And so one was the facial recognition. They use something called predictive policing. So now the department has huge databases which has been digitalized. So in this digital policing, I'm saying the predictive policing, the AI tool is being used on all the historical data to know where the crimes can happen, or the old cases are being getting sorted out with the AI tools. Apart from this, they use behavioral analysis on top. Under behavioral analysis, for example, if somebody is posting an email in the social media, or he has been continuously watching a particular footage, so these behaviors can be analyzed, and law enforcement agency can proactively get an understanding that what kind of crime can take place. It can be even drug or narcotics which can happen, or child pornography which can happen, or some terror activities which can happen. So these behavior analysis can be screened on almost on the real time basis at the back end. Now,
Right. Sujath Kumar, I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting right now to ask you this. You are obviously laying down different ways in which AI can be used by law enforcement agencies. The bigger question, however, seems to be the adoption of these tools itself in our age-old police force. Could you talk to us a little bit about that? Are there particular states in the country where you see great degree of adoption and others where they're still sort of waking up to it?
See, most of the enforcement which is happening pan-India, and every state is doing it. One particularly, the first few states which has taken is Karnataka, Kerala, which has been taken up. Even in Delhi, these projects have been implemented. So the tools at every state level, there is a direction that they have to start using the automation of this, because it is going to reduce drastic timelines. So today, when initial days when the case was have to be forensically dealt, it used to take huge thing. For example, in Kerala case, if somebody have to draw, they have to get an artist and draw the person, and you see the time consumption which happens. So AI drastically reduces on a real-time basis. So the multiple facial recognition can be done. So basically, apart from this, the social media activity which happens, like on the dark web and deep web scannings, which keeps happening. There are a lot of narcotics which happens, or a child pornography which goes inside it, or these things which is happening on the real time. As we speak, people are chatting in the social media. And who knows that, tomorrow if some miscellaneous person wants to do some threat acting in the state, that gets scanned up on the real-time basis. It scans the social media and gives the law enforcement agency an eagle view, like how this can be compressed, or they can take steps to avoid it.
So, Sujath, could you just explain to our audiences, there's a lot that's been written around the use of AI and the possibility that there could be inherent biases, implicit biases within that AI, particularly when used in the use case of surveillance, which is largely what we're talking about, surveillance and security. Papers have been written in the US, in Asia, about the fear in particular of racial bias. You've had a lot of, in the US, for example, black researchers write about how AI either doesn't identify black faces as well, or over-identifies those same black faces. Are there similar fears that could play out within the Indian context, AI and bias, that you see could be an issue?
Yes, this was a concern, but in India, the bias can be mitigated. Because the tools which has been used, which is nothing to do with any of the bias system which is there, it has been very generic, and all the footages what we get on the real-time basis, it is done on a case-to-case basis. Maybe those kind of tools, when the situation gets on the racism, I don't think so any of the law enforcement agencies using those kind of systems. So it is more of a generic. It is more specific to solving the case. Maybe when a riot happens, or we have something called sentimental analysis. In sentimental analysis, the tool runs to know the sentiment of the crowd. For an example, in Chennai, there was a recent rape case which happened, and there was a huge talk about it. So how the entire crowd is going to behave on those kind of things, right? What is the sentiment of that? So based on that, the law enforcement agencies can get an eagle view whether this can lead to a national level issue, or it can be contained to a particular place. So based on that, the law enforcement agencies can take preventive measures, like how it can be contained. And I'm just taking one of the example. So it can be any other thing also. Maybe somewhere in Ukraine the war is happening, and there's again a sentimental which goes in, and which affects the entire system. So these kind of tools are being used on real time in the cybersecurity world.
Yeah, it's actually quite cool. It's like stuff that you see on OTT platforms, and how this has been used in the US. It's actually getting implemented in India, which is so cool. But I want to understand implementation again, and are these evidences then permissible, say, in a court of law? How do we reach a logical conclusion of AI actually helping us with these tools?
So this is where the AI tool makes a huge difference. See, historically, when the entire policing things got digitalized, now you have a real-time footages, a real-time forensic tools have been analyzed. Wherein in the manual world, this is a very time-consuming process. Whether it is whatever tools are being used on the forensic, this gets on a real-time evidential base, and this has been proved in most of the cases. And if you see, the future is going to be even more better, where we are talking the developed countries using drones and robotics. And imagine we put all this existing tools, and tomorrow, in another couple of years, India will be also seeing not drone policing, which will happen, which will
Yeah,
replace the police beat which happens in the night.
got it.
Uh, so a lot of things is going to happen, and we can expect in another couple of years a lot of automation in the law enforcement
Sujath,
agencies.
can we ask you? There's a famous example that played out in the last few months where a killer was caught. People thought that a McDonald's employee, this didn't take place in India, people thought a McDonald's employee complained about him, but many wonder if it was actually McDonald's security footage that identified him when he was paying the bill. And maybe, McDonald's didn't want to come out and talk about it. I want to
Correct.
ask you, today in India, are we fully aware of the kind of surveillance and the kind of security establishments that are in place? Do citizens maybe not know that, AI is actually far more advanced than we realize? It's already doing a lot of the identifying. And where's the boundary over there? When does surveillance turn into state surveillance and get maybe dangerous?
Correct. See, adding to this, yes, India, maybe the common man does not know what kind of surveillance which is happening on top of it. The entire government administration is getting digitalized. So you see everywhere now, if you see that from last 5 years, you see a lot of cameras which is deployed across the state, and individuals also put a lot of cameras across. Now, the common citizen should understand that they have been tracked ethically. Police also monitors all the footages wherever the accident happens or crime scene happens. The first thing they look at is the footages
Yeah.
what they get. So once they get the footages, they run through AI tools and to zero in on a person. See, the facial recognition tool, even if the camera is of low pixel, it can enhance the pixel and spot out a person who's a fugitive, and they can run it in the database where the repeated offenders can be popped up. Right. So if you see the organization, the Cybel, we have products like Cybel Vision, Cybel Hawk, and Am I Breached? In Cybel Hawk, the product is predominantly designed for law enforcement agencies, and Cybel Vision is for enterprise. And people can log into cybel.com, and we have an option where Am I Breached, where they can enter the email ID and find out what all contents they have been breached. So today, if somebody puts a phone number or an email ID,
Yeah, yeah.
they don't know that they have been breached. Their content has already been in the dark web. And you see the recent time, there are a lot of crimes. I'm sure that most of the citizens of
Yeah.
India, they would have
But
got at
talking
least.
about recent crimes, Sujit, I have to sort of ask you this. The constant trouble with cyber crimes these days is that the perpetrators seem to be always a step ahead. We are
Exactly.
looking at very complicated. In fact, another story that we'll touch upon in the bulletin very quickly is going to be of cyber arrest and the rest of it. And there seems to be no digital trail. They seem to be getting very, very smart about it. So how is India's preparedness at the moment?
See, one is the threat actors are well educated, and most of them are IT literate people. They act from different countries, and the how India is geared up is we have to ensure that our KYCs, our digital footprints, whatever we have exposed, that is not leaked. So every individual should ensure that their KYCs are content. So AI tools there are a lot of tools where it can be installed in your mobile or in your systems, which can automatically detect if there's any threat actor is acting on your phone, or it can do the phishing or malware activities which happens, and they can use these tools to send any files as it automatically encrypts the data and then sends it. So generally, when we use a phone, we transfer the data, or so we don't take any preventive measures which happen. So individuals can take paid versions of these products to ensure that the equipments are, especially the digital equipments in their house, as well as the devices, laptop, mobile phone, can be prevented. So when we use AI tools for an individuals,
Yeah.
one, it can does the automatic encryption. It can detect if there's any phishing activity which is happening on the mobile phone. It will educate the person in terms of what kind of password you need to do. So most of the
Yes.
time, the password is repeated.
Yeah.
Right? If you
Yeah.
see the last five password, we keep repeating it, right? AI can predict what kind of password you can have it. And it can also help to automatically start backing up your device and then giving you the data, when it is not breached. Uh,
So
the
use
sensitive,
AI to your advantage before
absolutely
anybody else uses it for their advantage. Right? So
correct.
that is, so knowing AI is going to be critical in the coming times as well, and understanding how we use it to protect ourselves is also going to be very, very key. Sujath Kumar, yes, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all those details. Good luck with everything that you're doing.